So Brent, true pleasure that you're here with us. Very much appreciated.
How you doing?
IT is sort of presumed to have control over this, but the reality is that probably 75% of the SaaS apps that are running in an environment, IT is not even aware of.
SaaS is just very different than the way that they run other application workloads. And it's procured differently, it's deployed differently, and your ability to respond to crisis is different.
Right.
I wrote a document a year and a half ago that talks about how to create a SaaS resilience strategy. And one of the first things I do is you have to find out which SaaS you're already using.
Right.
This is not you can go to
Take
the IT
inventory.
guy. Yeah. And one of the bullet point recommendations is call your finance guy and see who put a SaaS tool on their P card.
Right.
It's finding that out is not as easy as going through all the workloads that are running on your infrastructure because you don't know.
Right.
So you actually have to go through this investigation process just to establish what is your risk as a business. Right. And I think this is why this becomes more and more a risk management question rather than kind of an IT question.
Right.
The risk management actually extends a little bit if you want to talk about security and ransomware and cyber threat. Because that's another thing that's a little bit different in SaaS than it is on-prem. You have some exploits in those environments that you don't necessarily have in your data center environment. Imagine, I was actually talking to a friend of mine who works for a company that investigates this stuff. And he was saying one of the really pernicious things that's developing right now is tricking people into giving them API permissions to the SaaS tenant. There's nothing that's installed on the client computer. There's nothing installed in the enterprise. There's nothing to detect.
Right. Yeah.
But basically, in that long list of permissions, someone pressed OK and gave someone the ability to manipulate the APIs, so they can do a remote encryption of your files. They can do a remote exfiltration of your files.
Direct access, basically.
Yeah, and finding that stuff requires a different set of tools. Yeah. Then you start look at SaaS security posture management. You're looking at behavior analytics. You're looking at who has permissions to what. It's a very different problem than I think our average enterprise is used to.